Homework, we're going to do our notes. So, notes today. Like I said, now we're converting radicals into rational exponents or fractional exponents. On Friday, you were supposed to do it the opposite way. Exponents to radical. So there's two forms, exponential form, radical form. First and foremost, same thing we did on Friday that you should have watched the video and seen. If I have a rational exponent or a fractional exponent, I have a numerator and a denominator. When I change it to a radical, the denominator becomes the root, the numerator becomes the power. It is also written n to the b root with a power of a. Either one of those works. Right? They mean the same exact thing. Now, we are going the opposite way. We're going from radical form to exponential form today, where they're going to give us radicals and we need to make them into exponents. Alright, so we're just going the opposite way you should have went on Friday. So if we look at our first few problems here, these aren't the first few, are they? I think we're missing two. The square root of x and the cube root of x. If I look at this first problem, it doesn't have a root and it doesn't have an exponent. I know this is a square root, which means, what is my root? What power? What root here? If I take the square root of something, what root should be in there? Not a 1, but a 2. Right? The square root of 25 is 5 because 5 squared is 25. So anytime it's just a radical like this, and there's no root there, it is always a root of 2. What power is x being raised to right now? If there's no power there? 1. Just like if I had just x here, it's still x to the first. Right? So if there's no power, it's 1. If there's a radical with no root, it's a root of 2. So if I want to change this to an exponent, it's going to be x to the 1/2 power. Because 1 becomes my numerator, my root becomes my denominator. Alright? Power becomes the numerator, root becomes the denominator. Same thing here. This is x to the first power. So if I want to write it as a fractional exponent, I'm going to write it as x to the 1/3 power. Power becomes my numerator, root becomes my denominator. Does that make sense? You just did the opposite way on Friday. Over here, the square root of x cubed, or the second root of x cubed, should become x to the 3/2 power. Power becomes the numerator, root becomes the denominator. That's all it's asking you to do right now. Change it from radical to exponential form. Cube root of x squared, x to the 2/3 power. Power becomes my numerator, root becomes my denominator. Same thing. Over here, this becomes x to the what power? Power becomes my numerator, so 4 over, root becomes my denominator. 4 over 3. Does this make sense? If you put this in your calculator and that in your calculator, you get the same thing if we had a number in there for x. They mean the exact same thing. They are equivalent. Last one, square root of x to the 5th means the second power, or the second root, excuse me. It becomes x to the 5/2. Power is the numerator. Root is the denominator. X to the 5/2. Any questions on that? Alright. Now, what if we go to write it as a rational exponent or a fractional exponent? We get something like x to the 8 over 4, right? Power is the numerator. Root is the denominator. Should I leave it like that? Should I leave 8 over 4? No, what is that the same as? 2. Right? 8 divided by 4 gives me 2, so it's x squared. Or if you want, Write it as 2 over 1. That's fine with me. I don't care. 2 over 1 is fine with me. It's the same thing as x squared. Well, if I look at my next one, the square root of x to the 6th. What root is this? The square root is what root? 2. Right? We just said that. The second root. So if I want to write that as a power, from radical to exponential, 6 becomes my numerator, 2 becomes my denominator. So 6 over 2 is 3. So it's x to the third, or x to the 3 over 1. If you leave it as 6 over 2, if you leave it as 8 over 4, it's getting marked wrong. Simplify those fractions, guys. We know how to do that. We've done that for how many years now? Simplify your fractions. Alright? Cube root of x to the 6th becomes x to the 6 over 3, which is x squared, or x to the 2 over 1. Power becomes the numerator. Root becomes the denominator. Any questions on that? We're sure. Alright, do the next 4 if you have not already. Do the next 4 if you have not already. Does anyone want to put one on the board? You will? Whichever one you want. You going to do the first one? It's all yours. Which one do you want to do?
I'll do...
Pick one.
I'll do the second one.
The second one. Perfect. Anyone else? Oh, we need 2 more people to volunteer. Which one do you want to do? Do which one?
I'll do the 4.
The 4th root of x squared? Perfect. One more. Baker's that a handout?
Yeah.
Alright, do the last one.
Sure.
Sweet. Thank you. Thanks. Perfect, right? If we look at these, the first one becomes x to the 10 over 5, right? We reduce that, becomes x squared. This one, x to the 9/3, so it becomes x cubed. X to the 2 over 4, so x to the 1/2. X to the 4/2, so it becomes x squared. All right? Any questions on that? Any at all? We have 3 problems left that are a review of what you were supposed to do on Friday. Right? So now it's just working backwards. Right? So if I want to make this into a radical, I know x is going under the radical. What is my root going to be? 2. If it's the square root or root of 2, you do not actually need to put the 2 there. Right? Because the radical symbol is known as a square root. If you want to put the 2 there, if you want to write it like that, I have no problem with that. That is correct. The second root is still correct. And then cubed. My denominator was my root. My power was my numerator. You could also write it as the square root of x cubed. That's fine as well. Either one works. Okay? The second one. What root? What's my denominator? 5. So the 5th root of x to the 4th. Right? My numerator becomes my power. You could also write it as the 5th root of x to the 4th. Okay? And lastly, it should become the cube root of x squared. Denominator becomes the power, or the root. Numerator becomes the power. Same thing, cube root of x squared. Okay? Any questions? It's really quiet today.